we are on the basketball court, which is where a lot of competition happens.
Shooting hoops. No?
Oh my gosh. So you can shoot hoops or spike the ball.
Oh, I spiked the ball here.
Or-
I play volleyball here.
Yeah, or what other sports get played on this? I don't think there are anything else. I don't think we have any other sports that play on here.
Yeah, no, that's it.
But a bunch of students recently just went to Hershey to compete with DECA at their state competition.
Ben, weren't you one of those students?
I was one of those students.
Oh, and that's why you missed the whole week of the Eagles Eye, so yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. But just like how people compete here on the basketball court,
You competed at states.
yes, we competed at states.
That's
So let's go find out more information about what just happened.
Go check it out.
Hello, I'm John Maxey, joined with Sterling Williams and Andrew Balchers, talking about DECA States. How are you guys doing?
We're good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So when was the DECA States this year?
It started on Tuesday and it ended on Thursday.
Okay. Where was DECA States held this year?
It was in the Hershey Lodge like it is every year.
Do you guys get to stay overnight for the 3 days?
Yes, it is 2 nights.
It'd be fun if we had to commute every day.
And where is it held?
It's held at the Hershey Lodge, which is close to the Hershey Park, chocolate capital of the world.
Okay. So you guys, can you break down each of the days for me and tell me what the agenda is for each day?
Yeah, sure. The first night you come there, you go to opening ceremonies and you sort of get yourself settled in terms of finding out who your roommate is because you room with someone else and finding out what you're going to do. You get the itinerary for the day. Then you have opening ceremonies, which is an introduction to what you're doing. The next day, well, that night actually, those who take cluster exams, which I guess we'll get into later, you take those that night, and if you're doing a written event, you go to an orientation for that event, and then the next day, you do your role plays or the presentation you have to do. Then the day after that, you get presented with awards, and then that Wednesday night, they also do a mini award session.
Okay. Let's actually dig into those tests, and I understand you do role plays too. Do you want to tell me a little bit about
Yes.
that?
Yeah, sure, and if you want to elaborate on that, Drew, you can. So what you do at a role play, it's sort of like a business scenario. So you come in, you're presented with a situation that you have to attack. So then you get 10 minutes typically to prepare if you're a single competitor, and then you basically have to attack any type of business situation depending on whatever sector you decide to participate in.
Okay. Drew, would you like to tell me how testing works?
Yeah, testing works. So I got to do a test because my individual event had one of those. So basically, it was 9 o'clock. No, it's 8 o'clock. 8:15 on that Tuesday night, you take a test, which is the worst time ever to take a test. It's 100 questions. You have 60 minutes to complete it. You go into this big room, you sit with people in your category, and you take a test. Mine was a marketing cluster exam, which means that it basically covered anything you could ever imagine. I haven't taken a test since freshman year because I had done written events the past 2 years. But this year, the written test, I noticed some changes to it, which were pretty interesting. There was a lot of stuff focused on new age technology. They also included some accounting stuff, which I've never seen on a marketing test before. And then there were some weird questions about like how people, like judging how nervous people are. And so it was some different questions, but definitely, it was a good experience. I enjoyed taking it. It's like a trivia test to me.
Do you want to talk about a few of the events there is and maybe the events that you guys were in?
Yeah, I can sort of elaborate on that. Well, some of the events can range from anything you can think of when it comes to businesses. That ranges from like finance, hospitality, management, administration, anything you can think about when you talk about the business sector. Me personally, if you want to hear about what I did personally, I did a written event this year. It was on finance operations. You had to find an existing business. You had to find something to where you didn't think they were reaching out to a generational group. Then you found a way to attack it. So I thought that was interesting to do. But it can range from anything.
Okay.
I did an individual event. So I've done individual and written events. And this year, I guess part of it was laziness. Part of it was just trying to do something by yourself. So I did business services marketing, which could be anything. I like to think it was like a DECA event because for the role play, part of it was like a food management thing, and the next role play I did was like finance, and so it was weird that there was two different things. So it combined everything, but it was a really interesting event. I'm glad I did it. I had a lot of fun, learned a lot.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on the written events? Because I know they're a little bit different of, say, the event that Drew did.
Right. They range. I think the biggest difference I could say between what Drew did and what I did is that I know you can attest to this, Drew. You have ample amount of time with written events. You know what to expect because what you're presenting is something you've been working on for a while. But when it comes to role plays, and that's the difficulty of it, you're not going to know exactly what you're going to do before you step into that place. So, but written events, you have time to prepare.
All right. And I know you talked about earlier, there's 2 different award shows. There's the mini awards and then the sort of the grand awards. What's the difference between those 2?
Okay, so I think the primary difference between the mini awards and the grand awards is that mini awards, you're awarded for different things. Like they award the highest test score and the highest role play in each sector. And it also gives a chance for the tech schools who might not have a lot of grand award winners. It gives them a chance to shine as well because they try to get as much participation as they can. So for some parts, they divide it in tech and public school.
How did you guys do at either of the award shows?
We did well. Sterling's group actually won first place in the grand awards because he was a written event, and some written events aren't represented at the mini awards because they only really have the presentation and the written portion. So they're not gonna be like, hey, top written portion, top presentation, because it's kind of like equal weighting. So they kind of wait till the next day. So his group won first place in their financial thing. Him, Domingo Santos, and Kevin Hang, and so I was proud of them. And then in mini awards, we had some people get up on stage. Matt Picari won top role play. That was really awesome for Matt. He showed great improvement this year. John Brown, top role play. Nick Whitley, top role play. Yeah, we had some good people. I got top 2 role plays, so that was cool.
John, you got a medal for high test score.
That's right, I did.
Good.
How'd you do at the grand awards there, Joe?
I got first place. That was fun.
All right. So, overall, how did the states go this year in terms of members placing and just level of the things that new DECA members learned?
Oh yeah, well I think it went really well. We had 6 that are guaranteed to advance to nationals, and then we had. Well, Shaw tells me, as he told me yesterday, that the test scores were very good and very high in comparison to other years. So I feel that as long as everyone put the work in, that everyone did pretty well. I think it's more than that. Like it's a great experience to go out, network with other people, and truly learn about what it's like to have a sense of independence. Because you do feel that when you're sitting there, you have to follow a schedule, you have to follow rules, but it's sort of an independent type thing. So it's a great way for you to branch out and learn what it's like to be truly an adult.
I think this was my 4th DECA states, and I think this year was really interesting. I think DECA, is growing. They're obviously getting bigger, and it's really cool. We had our biggest state conference ever. DECA's more members nationally. They're basically a small army of children, but the interesting thing about it this year is that the workshops I found were a lot more interesting. The one I went to, Startup University, was hosted by entrepreneurs, one of which I actually follow on a blog. She's a Philadelphia entrepreneur. She's doing some really awesome stuff. So it was interesting to see that they brought in people that are actually doing real things, doing really important things. They also had some awesome presenters down the hallway, doing things about camps this summer that they're doing. There was a lot more entrepreneurship stuff, which is really interesting to me because it's something I'm interested in. But I think it was really cool to show that there's more opportunities that you can do with business that DECA was trying to touch on. So I thought it was a really good state conference this year.
So it's a lot more than a competition and more of a creating an experience for members.
Oh, it's all about networking.
Were there any special moments this year during the conference?
I think my favorite moment was when actually it involved you 2. When I was standing in the hallway and then you guys told me to come over from whatever random dumb reason, and then you both beat me up with lightsabers for about 2 minutes. I think that was pretty fun and funny. So if I take anything away from that, it's that, and also just hanging out with Kevin, Domingo, John, and Matt Shorts, who I really didn't talk to until now. Awesome getting to know everyone and having us hang out in our room and doing whatever we really felt like. So that's something I'll take away 10 years from now, to be honest with you.
That was really awesome, hitting you with a lightsaber.
Were there any special moments for you, Joe?
Yeah, I think there's just one thing that sticks out in particular. So there's this young man, his name is Paul Tzvekas. I think I said that right. He's a great kid. And John, you can attest to this. He put in a lot of work and effort to be our friend. And it was really nice, and he was just a really respectful kid, really funny kid. And the whole time he wanted to wear Hawaiian shirts like me and John, or John and I. And so we told him that he had to earn his stripes. So he had to make sure he did what he had to do to get his Hawaiian shirt. And on the last night we were there, we were at our ice cream social that we got because Sterling did a lot of work to get us that ice cream social, and props to him. So, but we were at the ice cream social, and me and John walked over with our extra Hawaiian shirt, gave a little speech to Paul. He turned around. We knighted him, basically, gave him his Hawaiian, gave him his stripes, and from then on he was a part of the Hawaiian crew. I think it wasn't the fact that it was just a stupid Hawaiian shirt. It was the fact that, I don't know, he grew as an individual while being there, and you notice something like when you were at DECA, you mature a little bit, you learn about yourself, and it was a really cool experience to kind of make something new and a part of Norristown DECA. So definitely earning his stripes was probably my favorite memory of DECA.
If you guys could say one thing to members thinking of joining next year, and they hear about this, it's DECA States, and they're like, oh, that sounds fun. If you could say one thing to them, to get them to join and tell them how great DECA is.
Sure, I would probably tell them that it's an invaluable experience that you really cannot replace. Like, I'll tell you one thing, if it wasn't for going to the district and state conference, well, more so states than districts, but states and nationals that I've been to, there would be no way that I'll be able to grow as much of an individual as I have. So that's something I know that I would tell them. It's an invaluable experience you cannot replace.
I think something that stands out to me is every year there's kids that it's their first year doing DECA, and sometimes it'll be their last because they're a senior. And they always say, I wish I did this more. I wish I did this the other 4 years. And for kids who didn't do it this year and you have a chance to do it next year, or you're incoming freshman next year, take advantage of every opportunity, because I think that's what DECA is all about, is, going to those workshops, networking with people. Every chance is a chance to, make yourself a better person. And I think that that's really important to center on, that you don't want to be the person who wishes they did it more. You want to be the person who knows that they took advantage of every opportunity.
I just have one last question for you guys. Where are you going next?
Yeah, we're going to where, Sterling?
Disney World, Orlando, Florida.
All right, that's where Nationals is this year?
Yep.
I want to go to SeaWorld.
All right, do you guys have anything else to add?
No, just we had a really good time at DECA States, and I think everyone that was there had an amazing time too. We had some really good finishers. We had 2 freshman girls who finished second in their category. I mean, and to do that coming in as a freshman is really amazing, to come in and work your butt off and do well in the category. It's an empowering thing. We had some really good kids do amazing things. Bradley Emanuel did great on his public speaking event. So, there's just some really awesome things that happen, and I thought it was one of my favorite DECA States, and I'm glad I went, and I think Norristown did great. I think the whole conference went amazing.
All right, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Yeah, thank you.
I just talked to Sterling Williams and Andrew Balchus about DECA States. If you want to learn more about all the winners, you can watch next week's show or go onto our YouTube page, NASD TV, which will be up around Monday afternoon, and you can see the rest of the winners. Now back to the Eagles Eye.